This video is going to show some of the improvements in the tool dialog in GibbsCAM 2015. I'm also going to go over some new tools that you have available to you that come with GibbsCAM 2015. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm just going to go ahead and double click here to create a tool. You can see right away it looks a little bit different. The icons are a little bit brighter. The tool representation is rendered a little bit better. So starting up here, we can see that we can go ahead and expand or collapse that menu to get that out of the way. If we want to see these icons a little bit better, we can right mouse button click and hit large icons, and we can see now we have nice big icons. I'm going to go ahead and pull this over so we can see them all in one place. So now we can see that we have large icons. Over here for the units, now we can have inch or metric all in the same part, so we can use different tools. And then we can also do step shank or tapered shank here. Let's go ahead and make this a little bit bigger. I'm going to turn that tool holder off for right now. And let's go ahead and make this just a little bit longer. There we go. So now we can see we have a nice tapered shank or step shank tool, depending on what your tool looks like, or a straight shank. So let's go ahead and turn that back on. So speaking of this representation down here, now we have dynamic viewing capabilities. I'm going to hold down my middle mouse button. Now we can rotate this around and take a look at it. So if you wanted to see what maybe a different holder would look like in this, we can go around. Let's say if this was in, I don't know, a drill or even say a shrink fit. We can get an idea of what this is going to look like inside of there. I can zoom in by rolling my middle mouse button, or I can make a window and zoom into the window. This will make it fit. And then over here we can say we can see it front part or isometric. Front part's looking down the barrel of that thing, and then home is going to be that position there. So that's really what's new in the interface. Let's talk about some new tools. Here we can see going from left to right across the top, we have what's called a convex tip tool. Let's go ahead and zoom in to that. So we can see that, let's go ahead and make this a little bit bigger. We can see that, you know, if you have these tools, I used to use these a lot when I was using really hard material so I wouldn't dull out the corner of an end mill. Let's go ahead and make this just a tad bigger too. So now we have this. These are really popular tools these days for hard materials. Next we've added a barrel tool. So let's go ahead and make that a little bit smaller so we can see actually what that barrel tool looks like. And again, in all of these, we can do step shank or tapered shanks. We're going to stay with straight shank on this. The next thing we added was a dovetail. So right here, we can see that we can go ahead and make a dovetail cutter with the angles and all that other stuff that you're going to need for that. Okay, so one of the things that we added that I wanted to kind of go over in depth a little bit was this 3D form tool. We always had 2D form tool, but now we can actually use a solid to define a 3D tool. So let me go over that. I'm going to collapse this down so we can see the model a little bit. Shoot back to small icons. We all know what they do now. Move this part over. There we go. All right, so what I have here is I've actually created a tool in 3D. So I basically just made a form tool in 3D. Now, whenever you do 2D or 3D form tools, it's the orientation that you create this tool in is very, very important. GibbsCAM will only recognize the tool outline if you're doing a 2D or the solid if it is created in this orientation. Okay, so I'm looking down the Y, Z is pointing up, X is pointing to the right. This is the orientation the tool has to be made in. Again, that goes for 2D or 3D tools. So for the 3D form tool, I'm going to go ahead and click on that. It says, okay, what solid do you want to use? I'm just going to pick that solid and click on apply. And you can see that I automatically get, well, kind of a crazy tool holder. Let's just go ahead and say no tool holder right now. But we get it right inside of the window. We see what that tool is going to look like with the shank and all that other happy stuff. And let's go ahead and I want to show you what this looks like when we render it. So I'm going to go ahead and just make a really quick tool path here. So I'm going to say contour. I want to use that guy. Go around here. You know what? Yeah, let's just go ahead and do that. Say do it. And go. So now what we're going to see here is a good representation of what that custom form tool is going to look like as it cuts. There we go. So again, that's 3D form tool. It's right down here. And when you model it, just as a reminder, you have to make sure that you model it in the correct coordinate system in order for GibbsCAM to recognize it. And again, that goes for 2D form tools too. If you do a 2D form tool, you would just do, it has to be a closed piece of geometry from point to point. And it has to be, again, inside of that front orientation. It has to be drawn in that orientation, okay? So that's just some of the things that are new inside of GibbsCAM 2015. If you have any questions about modeling tools or creating your own tools, please feel free to give GibbsCAM technical support a call or your local reseller. Thank you so much for watching.